recapping the animation movie called Beowulf. Spoilers ahead, relax and enjoy. A king is shown at the beginning of the movie. He throws a party with his people because he has just recently killed a monster and freed his people from the fear of the monster. Everyone is eating and having fun. We see the queen of that kingdom, who serves the king a drink in a golden cup. Unfortunately, it turns out that the king hasn't slayed all the monster. The monster is sleeping peacefully, but as the noise from the celebration started to disturb it horribly, it goes to their village in anger. Suddenly the light in the celebration goes off, and everyone starts to get really scared and vigilant. Suddenly, the monster comes in and started to kill and slaughter every one of them to pieces. The king quickly grabs a sword, yelling at the monster to fight him instead. But as the monster goes to him in anger and looks at his face, it goes back to the caves from where it came from. The monster mother voice is heard in the cave, who is really angry at her son for going in between the humans. She knows how dangerous humans are and doesn't want to cause any trouble between them. She specifically asks her son if she killed the king. Because if the king is killed, every humans will find and kill every of their kind. But the monster replied that he wouldn't dare to kill the king, and explains to his mother that the humans were really making so much noise, which really disturbed him. That's why he went there and killed many of them. On the other hand, the king instructs his guards to burn all the people that died in the incident. He proposes to them all that if anyone should kill the monster, he will hand over half of his riches to that person. Few days later, a man called Beowulf is seen with his armies in a ship. They are heading to the land of Denmark to help the king defeat the monsters and gain half of the king's riches in return. After a mighty wave that night, they manage to reach Denmark the next morning. They ride through the Northlands in half a day, until they are finally able to reach the castle. A guard informs the king about Beowulf's arrival, and the king hurries out to welcome him, because he knows Beowulf's father, who is a hero that died in battle. The king believes that Beowulf is brave and strong enough like his father to kill the monster for them. The queen interrupted them, telling Beowulf that she has seen many people like him who came to their land to kill the monster and now they are all dead. But Beowulf tells her that he is nothing like them, and boasts of the numbers of mighty beasts he has killed, and promises the people that he is going to kill the monster for them. But tonight, a feast should be held because he is finally going to end their troubles for them. A special warrior of the king also arrives and questions him on his bravery. He asks Beowulf on how a warrior who claims to defeat a powerful monster lose in a swimming competition. Beowulf then explains to him that he wasn't supposed to lose the competition. During his race, a monster attacked him, and instead of finishing the race, he went on a battle with 9 gigantic monsters on the sea that night, and killed them all. After their feast that night, Beowulf lies on the floor naked and tells his men to sing loudly, so it can attract the monster. While they are all singing and having fun, the monster entered with anger and started to massacre all Beowulf men. Beowulf knows the monster's weak point, which is noise, and makes the monster to attack him. When the monster does, he screams really loudly at the monster's ears. As the monster is yelling in pain from the loud noise, Beowulf starts to take action by punching its ears, and the monster started to get smaller and smaller while he is doing so. The monster tried to escape, but Beowulf quickly ties a chain around it and rips out the monster's body to death. Everyone praises Beowulf for his victory over the monster. Meanwhile, the king and queen are shown. We find out that the monster was the king's son, which happened when the king slept with the monster's mother some time ago. That's why the queen doesn't want to sleep with him and give him a son. On the other hand, the monster reaches its cave half dead, and gives its monster mother the name of the person that killed him and died. The monster mother is outraged at her son's death, and swears revenge on Beowulf. Beowulf mourns all his friends who died in the monster attack. Later that night, the king hosts a feast on Beowulf's victory over the monster, and hands over his most important treasure to him. Later that night, we see the monster's mother heading towards where Beowulf was sleeping. Beowulf in his dream sees when the queen meets with him, asking for a son, and then transforming into a scary monster. Beowulf wakes up really scared from the terrible nightmare, and looks around only to see the dead bodies of his men hanged on a roof. Wiglaf, who is the last surviving person of his men that didn't sleep with them that night, comes in, and is really traumatized along with Beowulf for what they have just seen. Beowulf goes back to the king to know what happened. And the king tells Beowulf that it was the monster's mother that killed all his men. Beowulf gets outraged hearing that, and the worst of all is that he finds out that the monster he just killed is the king's son. The king tells Beowulf that if he kills the mother, he will end the monster's kind for good. The king's warrior also arrives after apologizing to Beowulf for doubting him in the first place, and hands him a royal sword that was given to him by his father, so he can use it to slay the monster's mother. Beowulf goes inside the caves to find the monster's mother on his own, and as he hears the monster's voice inside the caves, he quickly prepares to defend himself from the upcoming threat. But as the monster's mother reveals itself, Beowulf is so shocked and amazed at the monster beauty. The monster tempts him about making him really rich and even make him king if Beowulf gives her another son. Beowulf returns back to the king, and lies to every one of them that he has killed the monster's mother, also bringing the monster's son head to make them believe. The king calls Beowulf to speak with him, and tells him that he knows the head of the monster he brought isn't the mother's head but the son. Beowulf tries to deny and defend himself, but the king knows that he didn't kill the monster's mother because of the beauty. And that was what made him to sleep with the monster's mother in the first place. The king returns back to everyone announcing that he will be handing everything over to Beowulf, including his throne and his queen. Everyone including Beowulf is really shocked to hear that. And the scariest of is when the king goes to his castle balcony and suddenly committed suicide. After that, Beowulf is crowned the new king and everyone bows down to him in respect. Many years later, Beowulf is now old and he is seen battling with the people that tried to invade his land. He is very popular now for winning many battles and slaying the monsters. But actually Beowulf isn't happy about it, because he knows what he did to get the fame. Beowulf returns back to his castle after the war, and he is welcomed by his second wife whom he married recently. Beowulf thought being a king would be really fun, with the women and the gold, but it has now come to his realization that being a king is the biggest challenge of his life. Later that night, everyone gathers, hailing Beowulf for his victorious battles after so many years. A warrior proposes to speak with Beowulf, and when he meets him, he returns back the golden horn he left when he visited the monster's mother years ago. Beowulf is afraid upon seeing it, because he knows he didn't kill the monster's mother, instead he slept with it. And seeing the golden horn he gave to the monster return back to him, he knows there will be trouble. Even the king's former wife noticed this, and knows the monster had charmed him like the way it did to her dead husband. Beowulf later enters the caves and sees his son from the monster he slept with. It turns out that it is just Beowulf having a terrible nightmare. The queen later sees a dragon which has entered their city, destroying the whole place, making her really terrified. The dragon meets the priest and tells him to send a message to his father. As the priest informs the king about the dragon's message, Beowulf is really afraid and realizes that the dragon is no other person than his son, who happened to be in existence when he slept with the monster's mother years ago. Beowulf fears that he might not return from battling the dragon, and even begs the queen for forgiveness for not able to resist the monster's mother beauty and promises. And thereafter, he leaves for battle with his men to slay the dragon. Beowulf enters the caves on his own and returns the golden horn to the monster's mother, begging it to leave his land in peace. But instead she brings out her dragon son, who releases a fire to Beowulf, but he comes out of the caves in time. Beowulf sees the dragon heading towards the city and chases it to prevent it from doing so. Quickly, Beowulf ties a rope to his axe and throws it on the dragon to hang onto it. As the dragon gets close to the kingdom, he orders his men to start shooting arrows at it. Beowulf sees the weak point on the dragon and cuts the rope to fall off. He quickly goes to the bridge and jumps at the right spot of the dragon with a knife, and as the dragon is heading towards his wife, Beowulf manages to pierce a knife at its weak points, bringing out the dragon's heart. Beowulf falls down with the dragon into the seas, and while he is dying, he hands over the throne to his friend, Wiglaf, and died. Everybody mourns Beowulf's death. And after his burial, a monster mother appears in front of the new king. Do you think this new king is going to make the same mistake again like the two kings who had died did? Answer this question in the comments section below. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.